I've met you before or I've just met you recently and like the energy's up. And I think something that happens is we really feel like we need to binge a lot of information to get better at this stuff. And the way I love to teach is like, let's use the information we already know. Like everyone I think here is above a double digit age with a one in the front. So there's at least some twos, some threes, some fours. So we with a greater than sign for whatever number you need to apply to yourself. And with that, it's easy to feel like all this stuff we're trying to learn is outside of our knowledge base when I think everything that's ever been figured out was based on what we knew before. So like, I think with just the right perspective, like anything can be intuitive basically. And so this isn't something where I'm gonna overwhelm you with a ton of information. What I'm really gonna do is show you different ways I think about resampling so that you can turn your brain off. Or I'm gonna show you examples of resampling where I'm not even gonna be describing it as I go, because I think the processes I want to show you right now, I want them to feel really practical. It's so easy to see someone doing the Ableton equivalent of like juggling flaming bowling pins, and then you're like, that's cool, you can do it, but when I'm in a studio session or when there's time on the clock, like I don't really see myself doing that. I'm going to go with my own muscle memory. And so I really want to show you things that are therapeutic to explore and give us the ability to really do what we love. So the reason I love resampling so much, I have a couple of words and topics with that. So the biggest thing is confidence. I think we're all searching for learning this tool as much as we can. And there's a lot of praise around the idea of learning a tool. Like, oh, once I've learned this thing, this is the biggest accomplishment I can achieve. What happens after you learn how to hold a pencil? It's about what you write afterwards. What happens when you learn how to ride a bike? It's not like, oh, did you enjoy your bike ride today? Well, I was mainly focused on handlebars here, and I was going left, right. I didn't really see anything, but I love riding my bike. We'd be like, look around, listen to some music, check out new places in town. If you're new to a town, just like ride your bike. And so whenever we learn a tool, what at some point is the ceiling becomes the new floor, which is now that you know how to use that tool, what are we doing while we're using that tool? So we're biking while listening to music, we're biking while talking. So there's this thing I've noticed in the overall like decade zeitgeist that I've been inside the production community, in which the highest praise is knowing Ableton. Oh, you know how to use it? Oh, did you know you can do this? Did you know? Oh, I just learned da-da-da-da-da. What I'm here to say is after we've learned Ableton, the main focus, or maybe the way I'll say it is, sometimes we learn something through and then we like lose this spark and you feel like you need to buy more things to know, or maybe you're actually not impressed since you know how, oh, well, I know how they made that sound, so it's not as much of an adrenaline rush. And so the thing I want to bring to your attention is it's not about knowing this, it's about producing while having a conversation. It's about producing while thinking about something. So the moments you've been in a flow state, it's because you've been multitasking the production with what are you thinking about today? What are you excited by? What is that song? And anytime you're too new to a tool, you have to focus. Like when you're holding a pencil for the first time, you have to focus on learning how to hold it right. Maybe you're young and it's falling out of your hand, or you need to get the Ticonderoga one that's like a triangle big pencil so you can hold it right for the first time. And so if you're ever stuck inside Ableton or you're ever searching for that spark or to feel in the flow state, there is a chance that you're putting so much effort on holding the pencil that you're not thinking about like, what is the creative prompt you're gonna write today? Like you could look outside and just, there's colors, there's shapes, there's all these things. And it's more so about grabbing our perspective by actually leaving ourselves. And so I think this thing that's gonna sound as technical as like resampling in Ableton is just an excuse for me to explore this feeling where my mind isn't really in here. My mind isn't here thinking about what I want to explore and what I want to think about. And I kind of try to turn Ableton into looking outside that window where like, I didn't have to place that moss on that building. I didn't have to place the sun at that angle. I just get those things today. And like, even if we did this an hour ago, the sun would be in a different place. So that's slightly different, criteria to mess with. So it really feels like I passively created an environment here that I can just look at and experience. And then when I start making music, it's me sharing my thoughts on what's going on. So to give a very quick example, when we typically do resampling or even produce in the first place, we're all searching for samples that we trust. Why would you ever choose a snare drum that you don't like? Why would you ever choose a kick drum you don't like? Why would you ever choose a chord progression you don't like? But then there's all this pressure that like you are responsible for the quality. And once your brain goes there and you're in a really tiny studio with a bunch of like famous producers and it's your turn, or I'm sure we all experienced like the 5-minute challenge yesterday. It was a lot, especially if it was not your computer, if you're used to using a mouse, if you have your favorite third-party plugins and samples and you don't have those and you only have 5 minutes. It's almost like, how can I be myself? I've always been envious of the guitarist that doesn't need to bring their guitar to play a guitar. I've always been envious of the drummer that doesn't need to bring their drum kit. I was saying, how much of a jerk would someone sound like if they're like, well, I didn't bring my drum kit, so I can't play drums. It'd be like, you should have that. We kind of believe that that thing is within you. So when I was very young, I got put onto this producer named Swindale. And out of all the music I was hearing, I was just trying to get every plugin under the sun. And this guy's music was so futuristic sounding and so mesmerizing. When I went to ask him how he did it, he said he was just using stock Ableton. That made me go like, you just made my favorite food in my own kitchen with ingredients I didn't know I had. And so instead of me blaming a technique that I didn't know or a tool, I'm like, I have all the same stuff you do. It's even playing. He gave me the samples that he used. The only difference was like us. So I've started, I think, trying to build more of a musician and instrumentalist confidence where like when a really good instrumentalist walks around, like they don't need to be walking around with their instrument. You can kind of tell like the way Corey Henry walks, he doesn't need to be by the organ to like hold himself like he knows how to play it. But it's so daunting as a producer when you use, again, like, oh, I love my Sound Toys Decapitator, and that's how I make my signature 808. And then you go to the session where they want your sound, and an iLock isn't running, or there's no Wi-Fi. You don't have enough time to look for it. So I'm really encouraging everyone here to try to go down this trial and error. And what I'm here to do is to help you curate what we're looking for in that trial and error so it becomes a little bit more practical. I have this rule when I teach my one-on-one students. It's the times 100 rule. However long it takes you to set something up, you should have fun 100 times that. And that usually calms everyone down. So if we take 5 minutes, you're guaranteeing 500 minutes of fun. If it takes an hour, 100 hours of fun. It's way more inviting than following a 40-minute tutorial online to get bored after about 20 seconds. Because then we feel like in order to get better at this thing, we're giving up that much time every time. So here I just passively recorded me talking. This is off of the MacBook mic. And now what's going to happen is I'm going to put myself in the hot seat. And I'm going to ask y'all for some like different parts of a track you like, whether it's like instruments or like themes. Do resampling and like even produce this random recording of me talking here. I'm just going to try to make it what we're talking about. I'm not going to be talking while I'm trying to make it. I want you to see the process in real time. I've been trying to focus on this, so I'm going to be moving pretty quickly. But after I get to the sound that I think is worth breaking down, then I'm going to go back to presenter mode, and then we can talk about what I did. But you might see me do a whole bunch of stuff just to delete it, because that's what you're going to do. I don't want you to think it's this prepared thing. I love when Shima said, I stopped preparing my project files for presentations because people then think that's the standard. So I'm probably going to make a bunch of sounds that like, I'll even give everyone the comfortability. If I make a sound or if I do something and it sounds kind of bad and you have the natural reaction to laugh, I want you to laugh. If you hear something and you're like, I'd never use that, I want you to feel comfortable, because the goal is we should objectively be chasing the steps and traits and qualities that takes that thing and makes it good. So even if you find something ridiculous, don't be like, oh, well, I don't want to disrespect Chuck or like make him feel off, because we should be in real time. So anything I do, you know, we'll start it off with does anyone find that hilarious? Just making sure y'all know that this isn't the environment to sit and be a little bit quiet, that like we can do anything here, and it's not going to immediately sound like the hit sample, but if we know what we're looking for, we can get there. So I'd like a little bit of just like raising your hand and telling me a part of a track
sounds you hear in Jersey Club tracks?
Okay, bed squeak sound. So there's two ways we can do that. I can try to do that from some sort of memory, or I can look up the sample as a reference. Put me in the situation. Do I have the reference or do I not?
No reference.
Okay, I have no reference. So I'm in a situation where I need someone says I need the Jersey Club bed squeak, and I'm here with this. That I didn't. Okay. That I did. That I.
I thought real hard about that sample. Do you mind if I come and watch the keyboard?
Let's see. Let's test it out and see. So if I mute these. I wonder if it can be a little bit more high pitched. I feel like it still has this deeper kind of alien quality. So I'm going to try to pitch it up instead of beats, maybe complex. And it kind of has this like this pitch thing that it's still not here yet, but I'm trying to get the overall fluff and texture. Because the goal here is, since I don't have a literal reference, I'm trying to pull on the emotional reference. It's like when you see an image in the cloud and you try to tell someone that cloud, oh, that looks like a rabbit, and they don't see it yet. What do? You kind of just, that part kind of looks like the tail. So in my mind, I'm thinking about the stuttery feeling of that squeak, the overall pitch and the frequency range it is. And I'm just using these tools to kind of push it into that range to have similar energy. So now I'm testing it with a Jersey Club kick to be like, if I were in a real song, would it give me the feeling of, oh, there's that thing, like if I was in a big room. And so I'm not chasing the literal one in this case. a little bit more out the way. So I think what this is doing is it's giving me the downbeat I want, and then the upsweep is kind of reminding me of like kind of the water drop sounds that you still kind of find in the genre. So even though this isn't the exact bed squeak, you might even have a situation where typically when, like let's say there's a major artist in the room and they're looking for that sound, if I don't have access to the direct sound and they know that, this is giving a similar enough feeling, and now they don't have to worry about sample clearance. They're not even worried. It's like, oh, this even, because I pulled it from a sound source that completely wasn't a bed squeak, it even sounds like ours, and it gives the emotional feeling. Like this specific sample has never been used before, that kind of feeling. And if I do this process every time, this one will always stay with this track. So, you know, someone on the radio wants to be able to identify a specific song, and if I say, what song is this? And I play you a Jersey Club track with the exact bed squeak, you might not be able to easily identify who it is. But if you heard this thing come on, you might be like, that feels like the bed squeaks, but it's not exactly. So there's also this added, when you're wondering, okay, I made a beat, but how do I make it my own? You've been comfortable with samples because of how other people made them comfortable for you. And so this is my current end result for where I feel comfortable in the bed squeak situation. I feel like we were all involved and never took too long to nitpick one aspect. It was just like getting the body, getting the rhythm, getting the general frequency range, and then trying it out with a pattern. Are there any questions about anything I just did?
The Sutton Squeak.
The Sutton Squeak. Let me just...
What was like your general approach to getting that? Like,
Cool.
a lot of shifters and
Yeah.
flanger and like duplicating and moving the pitch around. Maybe.
Yeah, so I wonder if I have the real door squeak on here, or the bed squeak, I mean. What is that? Bed squeak. That's the time I turned into C-Bat. I don't remember where the original one is. Yeah, I did this one I did a remix of C-Bat, but I did Jersey Club. And I was using the bed squeak. I don't have the one on my computer right now, but when I think about a door creak, it kind of has this kind of choppy, like, sound, which maybe I could have even recorded my voice and done that and pitched it up. So my instinct was knowing that Beats warp mode kind of does that stuttering. So I was like, I'll take a part of my voice, pitch it up, and use that to specifically get that. And then the next thing was it doesn't really have the tonality I want. Pitching things up with the regular semitones kind of maintains the relationship. It's like, you know how in Photoshop you can enlarge a photo and it has the exact proportions, or you can make it disproportionate, looks a little strange. Frequency shifter is how you disproportionately mess with the frequencies. So if we look at it on here, I could have done the regular pitch shift. It sounds more melodic. With this one, it moves it around in these alien ways, so I knew I could kind of scramble and get a new version of the frequencies going on. So once I had that, I was like, there's a lot of resonance. I can hear actual notes like these. It sounds like something growling, and I think the bed squeak is a little bit noisier than resonant. It doesn't feel like a glass where you'd hit it and it'd ring out forever. It kind of has this just like, really steady. So my goal was to also I wanted to play both pitches, like the dun, 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 dun. So my instinct here was instead of like opening up a drum rack and putting two of them in there, or like having the audio clip and trying to do the pitch automation and copy and pasting that, my instinct for some reason was to open up, to group it, to put it in an instrument rack. And I learned recently that if you have this whole key zone, if you're familiar with the key zone editor? So apparently if you hold down a note and double click, it'll instantly condense this down to whatever you're using. If I hold down a range of notes and double click, watch, it like instantly warps there. So for some reason my brain was like, the quickest thing you can do is group it, select it there, duplicate that, tap that over, and now I have two instances to like quickly maneuver instead of stopping to set up a drum rack. So that was my kind of path of least resistance from times I've sat for an entire day just doing that. So that became my muscle memory. then I decided to use the pitch envelope to get the sweep on the second one. And it still has this very resampled energy where it sounds more like a wind-up toy right now. And I knew that was because of a lot of frequencies in the mid-range. Sounds more like a broken speak and spell kind of thing. So my idea was, let's just get rid of that and only have the high frequencies and then start playing like a Play-Doh thing. Sometimes you push and you pull and you're kneading it. So even though I got rid of those mids, I was trying to use multi-band dynamics to force them back to see if there'd be some interesting differences. So I think this versus this feels a little, they're still coming through, but it's a little bit more nuanced than that. And that brings me to the other point that sometimes we're bored with sound design because we put in a pure sine wave to get something done, and then we get the purest result from that. And like, even when you're doing artificial cover art that you want to look natural, you add these fake crumples, or you add like a coffee stain, or you add a tear. And so by resampling, you automatically have these hundreds of thousands, you know, whatever the mic captured is being put into this. So there's a lot of these found sound artifacts that are finding their way into this, rather than if I had said, I'm going to try to recreate the bed squeak, and then I opened up a synth and did like complete noise. I'd have to add every jagged little sine wave to make that distinct. So that's also what I like about taking a sound, you know, from my laptop. So after that, I pushed and pulled the frequencies a bit. I used Vocoder to give it slightly more of a noise profile. I kept it on noise. And then after that, I resampled once again. So, you know, the most basic definition is the things you would do to a sample. After you've sampled it, you're doing that process again. It's like the difference between bread and a croissant. You have to fold it, fold it, fold it, and you're going to get something new. So we bumped this up. I just kept messing with the pitch because it's really... in a crazy way, you're actually, all the sound design, and you should allow yourself to feel this, was my insecurity with the sound. I didn't really like the pitch, so I kept playing with the pitch. Ended up getting somewhere closer. So whenever you're in your head and you're like, it's still not what I want, some people take that as a sign to give up, but that means you know which effects you want to use. So if you're like, this thing is way too distorted, well, like maybe you can find which area it's distorted in and use an EQ to cut it out, and then try to fill that in with another layer, and you've like found your process. So instead of me having resistance against the insecurity of this doesn't sound like the thing yet, I'm just identifying, like being honest, what doesn't sound like the thing. So for me, it kept being the pitch. So I'll turn all these things off, and then we'll listen to what it was before. Brought it back down again. Tried to bring it up again a little bit. This one was just a little bit too squeaky. This one had a little bit more weight to it, especially when I played it in context. And the best way you'll get out of your head with this stuff is playing it in context. For years, I was doing sound design, and I'd only play the sound alone and be like, I don't know if it's good enough. I don't know if this should be here. So that's why I was like, before you go any further, let me play a kick drum, because if I'm getting the energy of it, then it's here. It doesn't have to just sound like I scrolled through and selected the right snare. So this is way too high pitched, whereas if I play this, it brings at least the oomph that we're like in something. So that was my thought process. Can someone else choose a different element to add to this track?
Trap horns.
Trap horns. Okay. Gonna make some trap horns out of this. How are we doing on time? Yeah, absolutely. Okay, that's all I need here. Cool. Okay, cool.
Like, why would you, like, typically do resampling or...
So let me turn off the warping.
Example. Typically...
I try to add, I purposely said that like that so I could get some melodies for this. I thought about it. So you said like, are we thinking like a trap horn kind of thing? Okay. Okay, I was making sure y'all knew to laugh because that's a pretty ridiculous sound. Still full permission to laugh. These sounds are going to be ridiculous as you do this. And the nervousness is that while you're doing this, the person who's watching doesn't trust you, you know? So it's like, I would say move at a more consistent pace than fast and then suddenly stopping. That's when it looks like something's wrong. So if I was like, oh, I don't know what I'm doing right now, but I'm just doing it, and it looks like I'm going somewhere. Erosion, I don't know, saturator. Okay, filter this. I'm gonna go to the sampler, do the. Exactly. So it looks like this thing added a little bit too much fart to my sound. So what I can do is I can figure out what's making it more fart and what's making it less fart. This is the process. Like, and what's great is you're helping me, because the more it sounds like a fart, the more you're gonna laugh, and the closer I get, the less we're gonna laugh. So literally stay in this pocket with me. This is helping. Okay. Still. I just have this like, that frequency feels weird to me, so I'm gonna get rid of that. And then what I might do is I might take this, play one of the sounds here, bounce it in place, and try to use this warping to make it exist a little bit longer, maybe in tones. Something there felt. And so again, the laughing as a tool can come back, it can subside, it can grow again. But notice how when I started dialing it in, I was using you as an emotional reference. It was like, okay, this is kind of farty. And then I found the one where the laughter calmed down. I was like, okay, I'm going in the direction that brings it back to closer to the point. So now this needs a little bit more evolving motion. So I'm going to try to do the fart button once more to see if we go there or away from there. Because initially, if you don't know, there's a built-in FM engine inside the sampler. So I'm actually running the audio through FM synthesis. By default, it has this pluck. And then I wonder if I take off the tap. Absolutely. That's a great point. So atonal, kind of implying that there's so many frequencies that are trying to sing at the same time at completely different tunings. So with that in mind, what I can do is, let's say that kind of implies that there's maybe one or two notes in there that are worth using. So what I'll do is I'm just gonna try to isolate. And then I'll do a parallel and I'll look for another one. And now instead of me worrying, this is atonal, how am I going to fix it? What does atonal even mean? It means there's just too many talking different things. How do we get rid of those EQ8? And that's my thought process to kind of stay in the flow. But I'm glad you said that, because I don't think my mind was there yet. And by you saying that, it's like, now we're here at a better sound. This sounds like an interesting like bandpass trap horn or something like that. So now that we have more contained frequencies, I can go back to maybe roar and try to add some saturation to see if we're going to get. Maybe I'll add a little bit of a pluck. Work specifically on this note. Maybe a little bit of hybrid reverb, because sometimes horns have that like. Maybe I can push up one of these fundamentals a little bit more. Okay, let's mess with some delays. Oh, you know what? I also need... I didn't have a lower frequency there too. Let me turn these off. That sounds like it's usable. Getting there. Let me dial this in. It's getting closer. It's getting closer. And I think we're all like, I'm watching us go from like waiting to like imagining. We're all kind of like, wait a sec, do I see it? And so I'm only playing this one note because if I play the others, it's gonna kind of leave. But what if those are other sounds? And sometimes we are scrolling through samples looking for those other sounds later, but it can have something like that, you know? So if I go back now, I'm feeling more of that halftime. So what I might do is I might keep that and then just add like, I don't know. I love when I'm kind of in a rush, I just go to the Benny X like trap kit now. I'm going to slightly delay this forward. My delay preset is set up a little bit differently. What we're used to seeing is usually kind of like this is usually what happens. We're just going to play like that. So by changing sync to time, by turning the feedback all the way down, and by turning off this filter, I also turn it from repitch to fade so I don't get that pitching, that effect. It just kind of scrubs across. This allows me to have the ability to shift my audio signal kind of like the track delay, but just as an audio effect. So that's how mine is set up. And because I turn off the filter, there's not going to be like a difference in quality. But I just wanted to shift this forward a little bit. To add a little bit more weight. I'll turn it off. Very quantized. And then on. Now what I might do is just for a little bit of loudness, I might put roar in the master for now, or the main channel. Something I also do when resampling is I consider Ableton to be a very neutral environment. It feels like when you open it, there's no gravity, there's no wind, there's no interaction. It's just like pure, like opening up Blender and just seeing that gray space. And so sometimes I even do things like add interesting, weird effects on an entire group, or in this case, the whole channel, that'll then introduce frequencies that can only be there emergently because other things are happening. It's like if you want to paint with purple, you have to have red and blue happening. So I'm kind of trying to, like, if I'm painting with blue right now, I'm trying to add some red so some purple stuff kind of creates itself. So like, what's an effect like you would like never dare put on the main channel personally? Reverb. What else?
Dangerous.
Any other one? Corpus. Vocoder. I was actually going to put vocoder. That's really fun. What I might do is instead of having that all be on the main channel, so I have a little bit more room, then I'll add that horn back in, is I'm going to resample. So I'll set up the resampling right here, and that's going to pull from the main channel right there, so I can play that. And this is covering a lot of the rhythmic stuff I didn't think I was going to get to do. So now I can turn this stuff off and I can dial that in. And those aren't sounds or things I think I could have found as a sample. This one. Now what I'm doing is I just hit capture, but you can see it cut it off. So what I'll do is I'll copy this, paste it on the other side here, and then drag it. So sometimes that's how you can do capture in a loop. But I think I really wanted it. There was these other sounds that were in here, so I just duplicated the entire preset to find those other sounds. Maybe I put a little bit of erosion to like... Maybe I even modify it. There's a lot of frequencies missing, so maybe I need to like add another EQ and... Oh, that came from somewhere. Maybe this aux was like tilted the whole time. Try to find another one. I'm just duplicating and finding a new thing. Maybe we're gonna turn back on the fart button. It's not even doing it this time. And I still have the rest of the audio track to bring into this existing chain too. So I could... There we go, there's the laughing. So we can actually take this and play it in context too. Right there. It needs to be a little bit brighter so people can hear it. And then maybe I take this little bit, resample right there, and we just chop that. So it's such a subtle little tail end, but if we repeat it, let's see. To quickly play this instead of MIDI, I'm just gonna do a little bit of a delay so it's more in the pocket. And then I have this personal preset I made. It's nothing crazy, it's just utility, but instead of going all the way up to plus 35, it goes to 0. So I kind of just have a personal volume fader that goes from the original. So now I can just paint this sound with volume to let you notice it and then bring it away before it gets too boring to our ears. So I'll just enable recording. So I'm liking that. And if I just didn't say,
typically,
I wouldn't have this like weird trap horn bounce banger thing. So that's what it looks like to trust the process and to let all these feelings that we think are supposed to like, no, I'm producing right now, I can't be thinking about that, or like I always have to strive for like the best sounding thing. It like ups the confidence to where I could come up here and not know what's gonna happen, and like we still landed emotionally near the idea, you know? Any other questions? Yes.
How often are you synthesizing stuff like this?
I would say 99 point, like think about like a Lysol wipe. 99.99%. The reason being, the moments I get a regular sample, I was thinking about it before, how do I describe it? It's like I force myself to camp with just a backpack for 2 months. CVS is gonna look like Dubai. I'm gonna walk in and be like, a tissue box? I've wanted to wipe my nose. Like all these things we take for granted is like basic things. So anytime I see people scrolling through just like splice samples, I'm like, do you realize what you have in your hands? Because a lot of the times I'm doing this to try to get result. I'm like brute force doing this to get comfortable enough, one, to do it in real time in a timed pressure recorded scenario, and to talk through it. But also because when I finally, you know, let's say we're working on this track and then I look up one of the 808s on my computer that are like a really cool already sound design preset of an 808 that someone made that's already tailored and I didn't have to do it. Now if I add it to this.
So I start.
Oh, I'm talking there. And it looks like because I had put this distortion on the main channel, when I turned up the 808 instead of just a regular clipping, it's blending with my horn sample, making it sound more realistic. So alone, it's just that. And then with that sound, so now I'm able to take samples that you're supposed to trust, and instead of like living in the world of those things and taking them for granted, I like love using regular presets, regular samples, because I'm like mainly forcing myself to like build it all from scratch all the time. Any other questions? No, are we? Yeah.
So most of the time you're using your voice as like synthesizer and then just like sampling it.
I had, you know what, for this demonstration, I did that because we're able to identify what parts of the voice. Mainly, I would say operator. I'm kind of like creating synth sounds and doing all this, which then with synthesis, it sounds even more gorgeous. But I do have, there's one song I put out where after learning that I could do this, one of my first experiments was trying to make a song where I think besides the kick and the sub sample was like all made out of my voice. Maybe I'll end just by playing a little bit of that. This is all me just like singing on a voice memo. And then I think I did the main vocals on my iPhone as well, and just like most of the beat, it was just that process.
Why do I feel this way? Disoriented. Why do I see double things inside my vision? Dizzy, is he dizzy? Yes, he is. Dizzy, dizzy, is he? Yes, he is. Why do I feel this way? Disoriented. Why do I see double things inside my vision? Dizzy, is he dizzy? Yes, he is. Dizzy, is he dizzy? Yes, he is. Why do I feel this way? Disoriented. Why do I see double things inside my vision? Dizzy, is he dizzy? Yes, he is. Is he dizzy? Is he? Yes, he is.
And I think most of the percussion is just me doing some random beatbox and then doing the beats transient mode and pitching it up and stuff, and it carried all that percussion energy.
Yes, he is. Dizzy. Is he dizzy? Yes, he is. Is he dizzy?
So yeah, thanks for checking this out.